My name is NicolePacini. I am the author of the unBITTER, the Blueprint Journal. I am also a writer. I am an artist. I am a creator. I am an influencer. And I am the founder and creator of the unBITTER brand and the unBITTER podcast. Okay, I'm excited. As you can see, it is the first season of the unBITTER podcast, and I could not be happier, but I'm also a little bit nervous, and I'm also really anxious just to get everybody's feedback. The first season of the unBITTER podcast is me having a conversation with each of my children. What that will show you is some of who I am, and it will also give you a little bit of light, shed a little bit of light on how I parented my children. The core mission of the unBITTER podcast is to embolden women through avenues of healing, transparency, accountability, and self-empowerment. What's up, Elijah?
What's going on, mama?
How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thank you for being a guest on the season 1 of the unBITTER podcast.
Thank you for inviting me on your podcast.
Welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So first I want to tell everybody that I do have this journal available. This is the unBITTER the Blueprint Journal. And for a limited time, you have the ability to order the signed copies. So I only have a few copies left, maybe like 20 copies left. So if you would please support the unBITTER podcast by purchasing a signed copy of the unBITTER the Blueprint Journal. Can't see what it looks like inside because of the lighting, but it is a prompted journal. I'm gonna leave it at that. Okay, so make sure you get it, and the link is going to be attached to the bottom of this video. Okay, cool. All right, cool. You ready?
I'm ready. You ready?
I'm ready. So Elijah, what did you think about the podcast when I first asked you if you wanted to be a part of it? What were your thoughts? That's my question to you.
Well, I thought it was something new for you, doing a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought that might have ran across your mind to do. But I think it's good that you're doing it, that you want to do this podcast with your kids and stuff. Ask questions, conversate.
Conversate. Okay.
Good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we've been getting a lot of good feedback from people who have viewed the other episodes. So this is round 2 of recording for us. No, round 3 of recording for us. So, all right, let's get started. I'm ready for your questions. Let's just jump right in.
All right. My first question for you is, what do you hope for the future, and what do you hope for your podcast?
Oh, goodness. You just jumping right in with the questions. What do I hope for the future? And what do I hope for my podcast? Well, one of the things I've been praying about with this podcast is that it will reach the audience that it needs to reach. And there's been a lot of feelings and emotions behind, I think, expectations of certain people that I think would want to watch the podcast, but maybe haven't yet. And so I'm just really kind of taking a couple steps back and just saying, hey, God, whoever needs to watch this podcast, whoever needs to see this, whoever needs to hear this message, please let them find their way over here. So that's really the future of the podcast. Now, I would love to continue on and have, season after season after season after season. Of course, I want to sell the journal as well, because that's part of the conversations that we'll be having over the next couple of seasons. I also want to grow as well. Like, as I'm having these conversations with others, just, with you, your siblings, just to grow in the process. It's been very enlightening these past few weeks, very awakening, I would say, for me, very emotional. But I just want people I want people to watch the podcast who will benefit from it. I want people to actually have these conversations with their own children, with their own family members.
Right.
The podcast is just not about me having conversations with you all. You all are just kicking off season 1. So the additional episodes and seasons will be focused on hyper independence. We'll talk about, trauma. We'll talk about domestic violence. We'll talk about grief. We'll talk about all those types of things as well. So my goal for this podcast is to bring those people in that need to hear the message. And what was the other one about my future?
Yeah, like what's your hope for the future?
For my future, I want to live in abundance, continue to live in abundance. And that this is not monetary, that is just waking up and being grateful, having gratitude for being on this planet. And one of the things I always talk about with you all is that I want us to have a family home somewhere down south, for us to buy some land and build a family home that will just live for generations and generations to come. I want to continue to travel the world. I want to continue to, just live my life in abundance.
Yeah.
What about you? What about your future? You're only 20.
Well,
you have a whole big, gigantic world in front of you.
Well, my hope for the future is definitely to explore the world more. I've been out of town plenty of times, but I definitely want to go like overseas and stuff like that. Probably go to like the China one day or something.
Okay.
China is definitely on my bucket list, but definitely to explore, the world more. Because when I went on my recent trip, it just made it seem like this is what life is about. So just exploring the world.
Okay, so have you gotten your passport yet? Is the question.
I have not, but I'm gonna get it soon.
Okay, because you need the passport in order to travel across
in
the
order
world.
definitely.
Okay, all right. Step your game up.
Got you.
Okay.
All right. Second question I got for you. How did becoming a mother change you? Because I know you were young when you first had your firstborn. So how did it change you?
It definitely made me more responsible, for sure. And it grew me up real quick. Like when you have a child at a young age, you kind of got to grow up. You got to figure things out. Lots of things that you never even dreamed of trying to figure out, as a kid, as an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
But even as a 30-year-old parent and a 40-year-old parent, it's just a lot. It's a lot of growth, and I really have learned to listen to you all, not be so aggressive in my thinking, but being open-minded to your thinking as well. Like you do have a voice, you do have an opinion. So I've learned a lot of lessons about parenting over time. But the most important thing, I think, is why we're doing this podcast is to, kind of share some of the things that we, experienced and how we managed to get through those. One of the things that Jasmine said on her episode was that people should give their parents grace. And so I'm grateful for the grace that I have been given.
Definitely, though.
For sure. But yeah, it has taught me unconditional love. There is no condition when you love your kids. You're going to love them through the good, through the bad, through the ugly, through the celebrations, through the not so good. So yeah, those are some of the things I think I've learned.
Okay. Yeah, definitely though. I feel like I have given you grace though, for sure.
I've given you grace too.
Yeah, definitely. We have a strong bond together. So
Yes. But thank you for giving me grace.
Of course. Thank you for giving me grace.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm growing. I just turned 20.
Whoop whoop.
So what do you want me to become as a man?
Child. No, I'm just kidding. I I mean, you're on the right path. So continue to be on the right path, but continuous improvement. That's what I like to see. Don't ever be stuck in the same habits. Don't ever be stuck in the same ways. Continue to improve. There's one thing that you said I think you said you wanted to read more. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I definitely want to say
Um,
more. I haven't picked
yeah.
up
So
books though, so
I know. But just create new habits for yourself. Create new habits for yourself so that you continue to evolve, elevate, and grow, and be excellent in all the things that you do. You're a great young man. You're respectful. I haven't really never had too much problem with you, like back talk and lip and all of that. You're pretty chill and respectful. So I really value that about you and appreciate that about you. So that's a very great characteristic to have. And as a man, like even, when you have your own children, you are in a relationship with someone, those are the characteristics that women would want from their man, just to be respectful, even tempered, steady growing, steady evolving, steady learning, traveling, those types of
yeah,
things. Just explore life, continue to explore life. You can do whatever you want to do.
yeah. Well, I would
Yeah.
definitely talk that to be a respectful
Yes.
man. So I
Yes.
give you your props.
Yes.
You know,
Thank you.
a lot of these men out here are very respectful, but you know, I give my
Very
respect.
respectful or disrespectful?
Or no, respectful. They're not very
Oh, okay.
respectful.
Okay.
But like I'm not that type of person who's just gonna be out here disrespecting, females or anything like that. So, props to you because a lot of these men they just be out here disrespecting these females.
Hmm. Yeah, I would never want to hear that. Absolutely not.
But on to the next question I got for you. Did you ever did me and twin ever have because they say twins act alike, but
Uh-huh.
did you ever realize a split between us?
Y'all never acted alike.
Yeah, because that's what I felt like.
Y'all
But
was
some
always
people, yeah, but I don't know. Some people say we do act alike, but I never I know we don't act alike, but
no. Even if did you see the video that I shared with you on Facebook when y'all
yeah,
were
yeah,
dancing?
yeah.
What I noticed in that video was that you were like the leader.
Hmm.
Y'all were like, I don't know, how old were you? 5, 4?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Like, yeah. But you were like the leader, and Isaiah, you could see Isaiah just kind of looking at you. I mean, you are the older twin, but he would be
Yeah,
like looking over at the side, watching to see what you were gonna do. And then y'all kept messing up, and then you would start all over, but you were like leading the whole thing. And that's pretty much kind of how it's been. It's always kind of one twin that takes the leadership role or the older sibling role. And I think you pretty much done that. But
yeah,
y'all are very, very, very different, but like y'all are both like charismatic in your own way. I think Isaiah's super charismatic. He like con artist charismatic. You know what I mean?
yeah, definitely.
Like you gonna believe whatever Isaiah say. You like, yeah,
Yeah,
I got this loaf of butter for you. I bought it all the way from Taiwan. You'll be like, oh, that's so sweet. And he just got it up the street at the corner store. So he has, he's funny. He has that gift of gab. But yeah, you guys have always been different from day one. From
yeah.
Yeah.
Cause the other twins, they act. I know a couple twins that act. Saying just alike, but I know there's like a hard headed twin. There's a good twin. So I
Which
definitely
one are
feel like
you?
I definitely feel like I was a good twin. But because like you
That's
said,
funny.
we never it never came to a point where we had an argument or anything like that, or like a big disagreement. So
Yeah, but you knew how to be. You was extra sneaky though. It's like super sneaky. It's just ridiculously sneaky. It's like what you
man,
did? What? Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I was sneaky because whatever I did or whatever I wasn't supposed to do, you was gonna find out and you was just gonna end up getting mad. But I feel like we had it easier though. then how
I
you
mean, if you're doing something that your mom telling you not to do, of course I'm gonna feel some type of way about it. Of course.
hmm
Yeah, that's what parenting is about, you know.
Yeah.
Obey your mother. No,
No, but
put a child
uh
in the child's place.
yeah, just being a child and wanting to do, you
Mhm.
know, older stuff. That's just really what it was.
And you got your whole life to do that, and you see what comes out of that. Nothing.
Nothing at all.
Nothing but a bunch of drama.
Yeah, I'm talking about from
Yeah,
experience.
right. So, yeah.
Okay, next question I got for you. So yeah, you just said you feel like I'm doing good in life, but do you feel like I could be improving, like doing better?
Of course. You know, I stay on top of you. Did you do this? Did you do that? Did you get your
Yeah,
passport? Did you study for the driver's exam?
definitely.
I mean, the list could go on and on and on and
Yeah,
on. But life is like, even though you're 20, life goes by so fast. I can't, like, I'm 54 now. It's unbelievable to me because I literally can just remember when I was 24, 34. So
yeah,
life goes by really fast. You know, it may seem like, oh, you're young, you got your whole life ahead of you, which you do, but the quicker you start doing things and getting stuff out the way, the better. Not, I ain't talking about grown up stuff, but I'm saying like get your stuff in order. You want to travel? Well, you got to get your passport. You know, you want to be an adult who drives legally. You know what I'm saying? You got
I
to get a
feel it.
driver's license. You know what I'm saying? And then that also involves getting insurance. You know, managing your bills properly so that you can take care of the things that you need to take care of. It's not cheap being an adult.
Yeah, it's not.
So then you bring children into the picture, and then this is like, woo, 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 you know. So yeah, you could definitely be doing, things a little more strategically for sure. But we all can. Hmm.
Okay, I just feel like I needed to hear from somebody or my mother, but yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
But
Okay.
I send opportunities your way.
Oh
Sometimes
yeah,
you
definitely.
receive them. Sometimes you don't. They're not for you, and that's fine. But I'm still gonna always, if I see an opportunity, I'm gonna send it your way. Look out for you.
Oh yeah, appreciate it. You do look out for, you know what I'm saying, the kids. So I appreciate you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. So the next question, I'm gonna dig a little deep, you know what
Oh my goodness.
I'm saying? Okay, so how did you feel when dad got full custody of us?
First of all, it's not like he got full custody of you.
Yeah,
This
but
is
we,
tell the
yeah.
story.
Okay, so how did you feel when we wanted to move with our dad? Me and Twin wanted to move with our dad, and he got full custody.
Yes. Yes. In the beginning, it was like, because I always thought like by the time Ryan and Kennedy graduated from high
Mhm.
school, because you guys are what, 5 years apart or 6 years? 6 years apart. Yeah, y'all are 6 years
Yeah,
apart. So I'm like, by the time they graduate from high school, y'all would be 12 because they'll be 18. Am I doing the math? Yeah. You all were 12, and they'll be 18. So in my mind, I thought that 12 was a good age for you all to go live with your dad. In my mind, I never like said this, but
yeah,
over time, when we got divorced, you and Isaiah were 3 years old, I believe. 3 years old. And so we had joint custody. And we also had a parenting time schedule. So it was like, y'all would be with me half the week, and then y'all would be with your dad the other half of the week. And then we alternated weekends. That was our schedule. But then over time, once y'all became like in kindergarten and we're going to school full time, like we were just really flexible with our schedules. It wasn't like,
Yeah.
oh, I need to get them on this date. This is my time. This is my date. We never did no type of stuff like that. It was like, so sometimes you all would be at your dad's house and you say, I'm not ready to come home. We want to stay the weekend. Even though it was my weekend, technically, it was like, we want to stay over here for the weekend. I'm like, okay, cool. And that's pretty much what we did year after year after year after year. So at some point it was, like we want to stay over our dad's house. We're not ready to come home. And I'd be like, wow, okay, they don't want to come over here. I guess it's boring over here. I don't know. They must got a good life over there. And so I would just be like, okay. And I just let y'all make those decisions. So when I talk about that earlier, that's what I mean, like letting your children make those decisions for yourself. And I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things that this podcast is about is bitterness. And a lot of women, some women, more than most, not more than most, but more than enough women have experienced bitterness when it comes to divorce, separating from a partner. And if you have children with that person, like what does that look like? And then women and men do this too, but then they start to fight with each other over the kids. And so that's something that we just never did, and I was, like I said, I never was like, oh, this is my weekend, they need to be over here, or this is the time I'm supposed to have them, you need to bring them home right now. But there's some families that do that, and they fight and they bicker, and it's usually because there's some bitterness involved. There's this power play. There's this like, okay, I need to have it this way or that way or no way.
Yeah.
And so those was just some of the things that we just did not experience, because I didn't. First of all, I took you and your brother in consideration first. So it's not about me. It's about what y'all want. And so when you first said it, I was just like, oh, okay, yeah. We'll get to that maybe, And then y'all ended up leaving when you were 11. So in my mind, it would have been 12. But you guys ended up leaving at 11. I just remember we like all had a little meeting, and I was just like, oh, y'all ain't gonna love me no more. Like, I'm just gonna be out the picture. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, from raising you from birth till 11 to 11 years old, and then saying we don't want to, basically like, you don't live with me anymore. You don't want to live with me anymore.
That's not really what it was.
No, I mean, I'm just saying that's how I was feeling.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, but it was cool. It's not like I'm gonna send y'all over there and never see y'all again. That wasn't the situation. But anyway, I'm gonna leave it at that. But yeah, that's that. I just kind of felt like, oh, they'd rather be with their dad, and I was fine with it, but I still was feeling some type of way, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the reason I even wanted to move back or just with them was because, like, I don't know, like we just had it easier over there and stuff like that, and it was like, we just got to do much more than we could living with you. So that's really why, you were kind of strict and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh.
But that's okay though. That's okay though, because you being straight definitely, made me realize a lot of things. But
yeah, you can't just let kids just run out loosey goosey and just do whatever they want. That's how you get in trouble,
Yeah.
So like I said before in another episode with one of the other siblings, it's just it's protection mode. Like, you want to be able to, you want to know where your kids are. You want to know whose house they're at. Can you go sleep over? Like, you got a bed at home. Like, you don't go sleep in nobody else's house.
Yeah, now that I'm getting older, I'm realizing everything you told me when I was a kid. Like,
yeah, so it's like that was that. But yeah, y'all have more freedom over
we
there.
got to,
And it was,
we got to definitely live and do stuff that we wanted to do. So yeah, I feel like that was the reason.
Yeah. So in the unBITTER Bitch journal, I'll read something to you. So so these are all prompts in here but there's a section called so there's 5 reasons why women might experience bitterness, and one of them is betrayal in relationships and unmet expectations in life, trauma or abuse, loss of identity, career setbacks, or discrimination. But the prompts in here are so good because they're broken up into different sections. Self-reflection and awareness, growth and goal setting, relationships and community, gratitude and joy, and strength and resilience. So as you're, well, not you, but when people buy this journal, these are some of the things that they can journal about and figure out how to overcome the bitterness, the hatred, the things that they experience with maybe a relationship like an ex-husband or an ex-significant other, and breaking down some of that so that they don't reflect those things onto their children, and so they don't reflect those things into their next relationship. So releasing some of that, writing it down, reflecting on it, and say, you know what, I played a role in some of this. It's not always the other person's fault. It's like, what did I do to contribute to some of this behavior? It's about taking accountability. So when I think about the choices that I made, I didn't want to be this person. I never wanted to be like, I can't stand him. Like, I don't, that just does something to your spirit when you walk around with this, like, this hatred and this bitterness. You know what I'm saying? So, the prompts in here are just reflective prompts and helping the journal user to, figure out a lot of these things that I mentioned in the beginning. So yeah, that's what this journal is about. So you can buy it. Link below. Okay. I told myself I was going to promote it this time. I was like, I'll promote this journal this time.
Yeah, y'all go get at that. Okay, so what's the biggest lesson you learned in life that you could tell me and the viewers that's watching?
The biggest lesson, there's lots of lessons. I don't know if there's like a big lesson, big lesson.
But just a lesson, you found out and you could just tell somebody.
Yeah. I would say, you have to learn how to, one of the words that we always mention in the unBITTER Bitch podcast is authenticity. So being authentically you. This age range that you all are in with social media and stuff, it's hard to really see. You see what everybody else is doing, and sometimes you can want to aspire to do those types of things.
Yeah, a lot of people really not want to adapt to it for some reason.
Yeah, so it's not really what you want to do, but you see like other people doing it, like, oh, I could do that too. But what are you passionate about? Like, what is your purpose? Because we all have a purpose. So what is your purpose? Follow your purpose. So you being authentic to what you want to do is saying no to certain things, creating boundaries. We also talk about that in the unBITTER Bitch journal, creating boundaries. What does that look like? Choosing yourself first. And you know what I'm saying? So choosing yourself first over others, which can sometimes meaning saying no to certain things. Your safety comes first. So just being authentic, like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go there. I don't want to spend my money on that. I would rather stay at home. I would rather not be there. These are the things that I want to do, but maybe your friends aren't doing those types of things, and they may look at you like, oh, you think you're better than everybody else, or it's just like, dang, all I wanted to do is read a book. You know what I'm saying? Have you seen that those Instagrams? It's a guy and they call him a simp for doing everything. Like, he'll be reading a book and they like, you read a book, simple Sam, you a simple, have you seen
that? I've never seen it.
So it doesn't matter what he does all these skits. So he could be like just drinking water, and they'd be like, is they laughing in the background, like, look at drinking water Willie over there drinking water. I think he's better than everybody else drinking water. I'm gonna send it to you next time I see it. But that's what it is. Like, just
Yeah,
be authentic. If that's what I could just tell anybody, be authentic. We all are out here in this world trying to figure things out. We don't have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. None of us have all the answers.
yeah,
But when you're true to who you are, you don't have to lie about it. You just show up as your authentic self every single day.
yeah. And I feel it definitely, but like, and then it's like some people don't really like understand that like we're not kids no more. So it's like, you know, you gotta put yourself first. Everybody's not gonna put you first. So it's not like a thing to worry about. Like, oh, if I'm, you feel me? Like, and something I really learned is like, you feel me? Like the fun is gonna be there. So like, it's nothing to miss out on fun and shit like that. Or didn't mean to cuss, but my bad. It's nothing to miss fun and stuff like that. But yeah, but a lot of people just don't understand that, but it's just growth for real. So, a lot of people they break that habit of the things they used to do and just jump into like a new habit. So and then like a lot of people like a lot of my friends like they feel like, um I've been like distance and stuff like that, but it's just like really like, trying to get my life together because I'm not a kid, I'm a grown man. So it's gonna be 21 next year, so it's just like
Mm,
I'm playing the longevity game right now. So it's just
yeah.
I'm trying to get things in order, trying to make sure I do things right for sure. Cause I a couple years ago, I felt like I was moving and living a little bit too fast. But like I said, as I've grown and stuff like that, I just realized like things and that I don't need to move fast in life because a lot of people they don't go nowhere fast if they just move fast in life. So just to be patient, wait my turn, and just go through it.
That's a good way. And some friends are seasonal. They only good
Yeah,
for a season in life. You'll look back when you're my age and you be like, I don't even know what I had in common with this person. You'll start to realize
right.
that too over
Yeah,
time. Like the things that you had in common, you grow out of. If you're
right,
growing and elevating like you should in life, those people will be stagnant if they're not
right,
doing the same. So they'll be, back on the block doing what they do. You'll be off doing what you do because y'all don't mesh anymore. Y'all don't have anything in common,
right,
nothing similar, no type of interests that are similar. You're not doing the same things. You're not going to the same places. You're not eating the same food. So yeah, you'll outgrow a lot of those friendships if the friends are not evolving. Y'all are not
yeah,
climbing together.
yeah. And I believe like you're a product of your environment, so it's like you know, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like when I was like in high school and stuff like that, I was getting off into things and stuff, but like I said, like I realized as I was growing, because like you grow every day and you see new growth every day, so it's like you learn day by day. So that's just like something I learned, like the people who to hang around and who to, I mean, the people who to hang around, the people who not to hang around, because
Mm-hmm.
people can just, you know, they don't really care about you. Like you find stuff like that out. Like people don't really care about you, and they're putting
Mm-hmm.
themselves first. Even though that what you did for them, like when it comes like down all to it, like that doesn't even really matter for real. So like you feel me? That's something I just stopped doing. Like I can't be around people who don't see like their vision, like their true potential. Like people just want to be stuck in one place. Like you gotta move around. Like, you gotta, like I said, explore, do things in life. And not a lot of people's not doing that. And I just feel like that's really what's setting them back because they're not really doing much in life. So, I got to do a couple of things and it made me realize like, okay, this is what life's all about. So, I'm gonna do this and do that to make sure I can do this. So,
Mm-hmm.
but
But you
not
said
No, go
You
ahead. Go
said
ahead.
that people are a product of their environment, and that's true. But it's up to you or each individual to make that change.
Yeah.
But if you're stuck in your environment is negative and it's not pushing out anything positive, you're going to stay stuck in that negative space, and everybody around you is going to be negative. So when you
Yeah.
witness something positive, if it's like foreign, it's like, nah, we don't want that. We like it over
Right.
here.
Yeah. So like the
But
thing
a
I
lot of people
was.
don't have these people,
Mhm.
I hate to say the word a lot because it's like I don't it's too many people on this planet to just say a lot. We don't know, but we're just speaking on personal experiences and what we
Yeah.
see and witness in our own lives. But you have to have a support system around you. You have to have people that are willing to tell you when you're doing wrong.
Hmm.
Because I know that for a fact that you need the right people around you to pour into you and tell you, hey, that's not a good look. But then
Yeah.
you
And
also have to have the mindset to receive it and not be defensive. Like I'm gonna do what I want to do, and then you out here in trouble in the streets, getting arrested, getting shot at, all this craziness. That the YNs be doing in these streets. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So you are a product of your environment, whether it's positive or negative, whether it's good or bad.
Hmm.
We all are products of our environment. But as you become a young adult, you'll start to see that it's up to you to make those decisions to be better. And
Yeah.
you
Cause
change because you want to change, which
yeah.
sounds like you started to understand what that was like. So you started to make those changes because you're like, this is not getting me anywhere. These people that I'm hanging around with are not any good for me. So I need to make a switch. And then
Yeah.
your friends will start to drop off, and then they'll be looking at you crazy, like, oh, he acting brand new. You'll start to hear that, like, yeah, I am brand new. I am brand new.
Yeah.
I'm different than I was before. I'm brand new.
Right. And it's like I'm not the same person I was, years ago. Like I said, I'm not a little kid no more. I just turned 20, so it's just. But like a lot of people, like they don't really have that mindset just to like, okay, like I am growing, so let me just try to do things better for me. So like that's what I said to myself. Like, all right, I want to do better. Like I don't want to, cause I was like in a negative environment and stuff like that. Like cause I was doing like just stuff, and I was fighting and stuff like that. So it's like just hanging around with the wrong people. But like I said, I grow up every day, and I realized that as you feel me, after high school, or not really after high school, I realized that when I uh, changed schools, when I had got expelled from high, because I realized that when I changed schools, like like I was around a bad environment. The people I was around were no good for me. They weren't uplifting me or speaking positive really about anything. So I just had to move around from there.
I'm glad you learned that lesson early on because it's a lot of black men out here that are in their 30s and 40s and still haven't learned that lesson. So the fact that you
Yeah.
learned it before you turned 21 is amazing. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm trying. I'm trying.
you doing.
Okay, another question I got for you. What do you think the key is like for a perfect, or I wouldn't say perfect, 'cause ain't not nothing's perfect, but for a good relationship?
Isaiah asked this question, something about love advice or something like that. He had asked the
Yeah,
key
like
to a
what's some
good
advice?
relationship.
Yeah, what's
So,
some,
what type of are you talking about a romantic relationship or just,
or like just something like what, like just the key to keep like a stable relationship, like just to, what I'm saying.
but like a friendship or just
And no,
like
like
a
a
romantic
relationship, yeah, romantic, yeah,
romantic relationship?
romantic
Honesty,
relationship.
yeah, honesty. Communication. Being able to communicate your feelings, not being afraid to
Mhm.
express your feelings and your desires and your needs and things like that. And also, like I tell everybody this, and I keep saying it, like we all need to be in some type of therapy. just so we can kind of sort out our emotions and feelings, and then get the right tools to be able to process it and move forward, and not hold on to the bitterness and all those things that we experience. So honesty, communication, um, boundaries. Boundaries is very important. I can't mention that enough. So
Yeah.
when I think about boundaries,
Something I
it
definitely
is,
learned. Yeah.
yeah. So, and just having autonomy over your space and autonomy over your body. I think especially for young girls, I mean, we can have a tendency to, have sex too early. Boys too. Boys, have sex too early. And we're not even fully developed yet. And like we're exposing ourself and our souls to this other person, and we're not even finna be with them like past tomorrow.
Yeah.
So just really being, respectful of yourself and your body, being respectful of yourself. I feel like if you respect yourself, you can respect others, which would be your, the person that you're in a relationship with. But open communication, being friends with that person, being able to, hang out, have fun, just like you would hang out with your homeboys. You should be able to hang out with your girlfriend.
Okay, what's some advice you would tell to your younger self? Like
My
probably like
younger self,
your younger self, probably like when he was 18.
girl, child, you got this. That's what I would say. You got this.
Mm-hmm.
And I would tell my younger self the same thing I was telling you a little bit ago. You need to encourage yourself because everybody else is not going to be there to encourage you. So you
Yeah.
definitely got to pour into yourself, encourage yourself, and be what I was gonna say grateful, but that's not the word I want to use. Just being appreciative of yourself. That's
Mm-hmm.
the word I want to use. Being appreciative of yourself, giving yourself grace, being kind to yourself. Um, saying positive things to yourself versus negative things, because the negative will stay there. So they say we have like 70,000 thoughts a day. So imagine how many of those thoughts are negative thoughts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? 70,000 thoughts a day is a lot. You can't even imagine. I can't
Yeah,
even
that's
imagine.
crazy.
It's right. So think about if you're thinking always negatively, those things will just continue to circulate in your mind all the time. And then you start saying, I can't do that. I'm never going to be able to be this person.
Yeah.
I'm not a good friend. I'm not a good mom. I'm not a good, spouse. I'm not a good this and that. And then you start to believe it because your mind is constantly telling you that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I would tell myself, girl, give yourself some grace. Everybody else ain't got this figured out either. Continue to do the best that you can, and keep living. That's what the elders used to say. Keep living, keep living. And that just really means that the older that you get, you'll start to realize certain things. So keep living, keep living.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I realized my last 10 years is to just keep living. Like, so things might happen, might break you, but can't, you know what I'm saying? Can't let things break you, you know? You gotta just be
Because
built for it.
in a moment, it always seems like it's the worst thing
Yeah,
that could ever
definitely.
happen.
Mm-hmm.
In that moment, like, oh my God, I feel like a failure. I feel like my life is nothing right now because this particular thing happened or this circumstance occurred. But a year later, you just look back and just kind of giggle at that.
Right.
Oh
And just be
man,
like,
like,
yeah.
and it's gonna be something else. It's gonna be something
Mm-hmm.
else. So it provides you with this, this like level of tenacity, like this strength, this resilience, and that builds you up. So it's not a bad thing to experience, setbacks and failures. They're
Yeah.
lessons.
Definitely lessons learned for sure.
Right.
You know, I had
And it's how you choose to move forward.
yeah, how you
So if you,
definitely how you choose to move
mhm,
forward after,
yeah.
you know, because I definitely had a couple setbacks and I felt like, you know, I didn't feel like it was the end of the world, but I felt like, like what's the word I'm looking for? I just felt like I just didn't feel like the person I really was, when certain things happen and kind of set me back a little bit. But, as I realized and, time goes past and stuff like that, I just realized, like, everything's going to be all right. As long as I keep doing what I want to do and, change myself, change my ways, like, everything's just going to be, what I'm saying, perfectly fine.
Yeah. And then you also have a lot of people around you who love and support you. So that also helps too. Like everybody don't have a circle, a village, so their village may be negative. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They might have those type of people in their circle, in their family, in their friend circle that are just always negative. And so you don't even have that energy around you. Everything is just so negative. So it's easy for you to just pull back into that pattern of the negative stuff that you're doing.
Yeah.
Because everybody else around you is doing it. And so when you can look up to your family, your siblings, the friends around you and say, okay, I see them doing great things. I see that they're not out here living that type of lifestyle. They out here on the up and up. So if they could do it, I can do it. Sometimes we need to be able to see that, but we also need to be able to see it in ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and family, yeah, that's the most important thing is family. Like, because some people, they usually don't realize that until, like, the time comes up for them and then they realize. But like, I realized early, like, family is like the most important thing. Like, so it's like, because if you ain't got no friends, you got family. So, and I definitely feel like I have a support system. I feel like I got my family behind my back. And you feel me? It's the same for me. You feel me? I feel like everybody knows that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like my village is strong.
Yeah, we got your back, you know what I'm saying? We got you.
Yeah. We all got the same love for each other and stuff like that. So, definitely got a strong
Yeah,
village.
that is a good feeling to know that your family has your back and support you
Yeah.
and will show up for you.
It's a great feeling. Hold on, I'm trying to pull this up. Um,
Yeah, life.
okay, what's the most valuable thing your parents have taught you?
Well, my father died when I was young,
Mm-hmm.
3 years old. I really wish I would have known my dad. I don't have any memory of my dad. One of the things that my mom used to tell me, which I to this day I just always remember, but she used to say, um, it's better to be overdressed than underdressed. So when I was in high school, I went to an all girl Catholic high school,
Mm-hmm.
Steve Academy in South Holland, Illinois. And so they, when you go to Catholic school, you're supposed to be like a good girl,
Yeah.
you don't get in trouble, you're not running the streets, you're a student, you're on the honor roll. I was on the honor roll and all those types of things, but I still was outside doing things I had no business doing. And so one day, me and my friends, we were getting ready to go hang out at the beach. It's called the Point in Chicago. We was going to hang out, and we told our parents we were going to a school dance. And so I put on like just clothes that you're gonna wear to go hang out at the beach.
Yeah.
And Tusi was like, "What you got on? You ain't wearing that to no dance." And I'm like, so she made me wear this canary yellow silk dress. I'll never forget this. And these snakeskin shoes that was the same color as the dress that I had got from Shernan's. So Shernan's is a shoe store that used to be in Chicago, down on I think 35th Street. And that's where everybody went to go get their shoes. So I had this yellow canary dress on with these yellow snakeskin shoes. but that's Tusi. Like she believed in dressing appropriately for whatever event you're going to. And what I was looking like was not like I was going to a dance. So when my friends came to pick me up, they were all very casual. And then I'm dressed up in this silk dress to go hang out at the beach. So that is one thing that I've always just remembered. You know, it's better to be overdressed than underdressed. And that's not pretty much how I show up. Like, I don't care what other people got on. I'm gonna wear what I want to wear.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna feel comfortable in it. I don't care if you got on jeans and sneakers and gym shoes. I'm gonna wear what I want to wear, and I'm gonna look how I look. That's just me.
Right.
But that's from my mother. Yeah. I mean, this is one of those things that I just always remember. Always. Even when I worked at AT&T, there was like a very loose dress code, and I would come to work in like wrap dresses with heels on, and they was like, "Who you think you are?" Child, listen, I'm gonna shut it down every time. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. My last question for you.
Okay.
What made you the person you are today?
A combination of all the 54 years that I've lived. Everything. All the good. Like I said earlier, all the good, all the bad, all the indifferent, all the lessons learned, all the mistakes made, you know, just God, prayer, you know, meditation, growth, you know, parenting, being in relationships, being out of relationships, being in love, being out of love, all those things, like literally everything. And I'm still growing. I'm going to be a different Nicole next year. I'm going to be a different Nicole in the morning. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
I'm going to be a different Nicole every time you turn around. But I'm always thinking about, you know, I want my kids to look up to me and say that, you know, I can see the growth and change and evolving of my mother, like the becoming, like she's consistently becoming better. She's consistently doing the work. You know, she's always, you know, being creative, doing something different. So yeah, I just, you know, I think about every little thing that I do it's a combination of growth.
Yeah, you're definitely ongoing. So I'll say that.
Yeah, ongoing.
Yeah, ongoing, definitely.
Yep. And there's a lot of things that I think could have broke me, you know, really broke my spirit. But, you know, I was able to, you know, like in that, like I said earlier, like in that moment, it does feel like it is the last straw. Like this is it. Like I can't function. I'm not going to be able to get past this. But you will get past it, you know, because God is a God of favor. And he is going to watch out for all of his children. And I'm one of his children, so he's gonna look out for me. I never ever doubted that for sure. Yep. Good questions.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what's going on with you? Like what's your next thing to do in life? You still figuring it out?
Well, I know that I want to go to school for sure, but you know, it's just I don't know for what though, because I know that I wanted to go to school for fashion, HVAC, and design school, but it's just like I couldn't really, you know, figure out which one I want to do yet. But eventually, I'll come down to a solution though. But I definitely want to go back to school for sure.
Yeah. You'll figure it out. And then you can, you know, try different things. I feel like if you don't at least try something, how will you ever know if that's even something that you're interested in?
Yeah, like when you threw me that opportunity to go to that job program, like that was you know, I had earned what was it called, OSHA 10 certificate card. So it was like, you know, that's something I had earned, and I learned a lot of things from there. So, you know, and that's why I say either HVAC, because you know I would have never thought having plans to go to college for HVAC until I actually did it and
Yeah.
got like the feeling of it. So
So there's college, there's trade school. College is, you can get a 2-year degree, 4-year degree, get your master's, you get your doctorate. It means it depends on what it is that you want to do. But with the
yeah,
HVAC, that's a trade. Everybody's gonna need someone to do that type of work. So you think about houses being built, you think about apartments. Every time you turn around, there's a new apartment complex. They need
yeah,
people to install those things. They need people to repair them when they go out. Electricians, very popular trade. Mechanics, you know what I'm saying? Learning how to work on cars and fix cars. That's something that's never gonna go out of style.
yeah,
Somebody's gonna always need those things. So when you're thinking about a trade, like what are those types of things that you can do that are always going to be around? And the world is evolving. Technology has taken over a lot of things, but there's just some things that technology cannot do that they're going to need people to actually do.
yeah.
So, as you look into the future, you may want to think about some of those things too. Yeah, for sure. But you got it. You figured it out.
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
You'll figure it out. Why my nose is be running? Every time I get on these calls with y'all, starts running. What is going on? All right, are we done? We are at 55 minutes. You have a final thought, a final word to the people. You said a lot. It was great. I love it.
Let me see. I got a message I can say to the people, the viewers, and you.
Okay.
So the message today is, and never let your emotions overpower your intelligence. That's the message today.
Okay, we're gonna clock that. Never let your emotions overpower your intelligence. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
I can say, okay, for me, like I can say, because a lot of people, they let their emotions get in the way of like, certain things that they're capable of doing. So sometimes like they'll let their emotions stop them from doing certain things. Like say if someone's playing basketball or something, and something just happened to them or something like a life, something life happened, hit hard. They're letting their emotions get to them. Like I feel like you can't let your emotions just overpower like what you're good at, and it shouldn't stop you from doing anything. I feel like if you let your emotions get in the way, then it could screw you over. So, that's why I say that.
So don't let your emotions overpower your intelligence. All right, that's a word.
Yes.
That's a word. Put that on a t-shirt.
Highly.
Okay. And, with your fashion design,
it's been in my nose. It's been in my nose for like.
Don't steal that from my son.
It's been in my nose for a couple of years.
Documented here that he said it. So if y'all steal it, we're gonna sue y'all. All right. Well, thank you, Elijah, for being here. I look forward to seeing you on the reunion show that we'll be doing probably in the next couple of weeks or so. We'll have all the siblings together and chop it up.
Yes. Thank you for inviting me on this podcast, on the unBITTER podcast.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here.
Of course.
Okay. I'll talk to you later.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the unBITTER Bitch podcast. Let me know your thoughts, leave a comment, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.